it's that time again. It's time for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, and this is episode number, I didn't look. I think it's 52. Maybe it's 53. I don't know. It's 50 something, kind of like me. Anyway, my name is Deborah, and I'm coming to you here from my family farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks, where I like to do all the crafts. I knit, I crochet, I sew, I quilt, I make baskets, I make jewelry, and I've got all sorts of new crafts lined out that I want to learn how to do. I am also a university professor where I teach courses in physics and astronomy to physics majors, pre-med majors, pre-PT, general education majors. I also teach meteorology, all kinds of fun physical science topics, but my degree is in astrophysics. And I am also a farmer. I'm a third plus generation family farmer here on my farm in the foothills of the Arkansas Ozarks. My family's lived on this land off and on for over a century, and I raise grass-fed beef cattle, I raise horses, I have a flock of heritage poultry, I have show-quality rabbits, I have honeybees, which I always forget to mention, but I do have honeybees, and I have a retirement herd of miniature horses, miniature donkeys, and a miniature mule named Pumpkin, who thinks she rules the roost, and we also have guardian of the poultry, Princess Penny the potbelly pig. And as you can tell from my sweet little co-host Willie here, whose ears are very cold for some reason, I need to make him a snood. Right? You need a snood? Do you need a snood? I am fur kid mom to 13 dogs, 7 indoor cats, and an undetermined number of outside barn cats. So if any of all of that sounds interesting to you, come on along and join me for Diary of a Physicist Farmgal, episode number 50 something. Okay, so if you're looking for us on social media, my farm Facebook page is the same as my YouTube channel named Buckthorn Farms. If you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I sure would like to get, noticed, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe I don't want to be noticed. I don't know. But anyway, I think I put out a pretty fun, entertaining product, and so do a lot of y'all, so I appreciate the shout-outs and stuff. If you're looking for me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram and Ravelry as Doc Firewoman. There is also a Ravelry group for the podcast where you can find out about giveaways and Makealongs and all that kind of fun chit chat. We're finishing up some Makealongs right now that we'll talk about in just a minute, and I'm going to give you a preview of next year's Makealongs. I am also on Twitter, but I am a fairly socially left-leaning liberal Democrat, and if political posts give you heartburn, maybe you shouldn't follow me on Twitter, because that's kind of where I cut loose. I keep it to a dull roar everywhere else, but I understand that not everybody enjoys that, but I have to say what I think. I don't know any better. Anyway, so so let's talk about a little bit about the Makealongs that are winding down. I won't go into a lot of detail because most of y'all have been with me for a minute and you know what's going on. But we have the I Like Big Shawls, and I Cannot Lie Cal. It's a knit along only that is co-hosted with Vanessa from A Historian Knits, and I just got to meet her and her family at the end of November, so that was a big fun. Also, Creature Feature, which is co-hosted with Laura from A Crocheting Hoovian, is coming to a close. Our quarterly theme this month is fantastic beasts and mythical creatures, so all kinds of things there to make. I still haven't finished mine, but I may give her a whirl now that school's out. Also, we have the Kit or Get Her Done, and I just got a package from UPS that might have had another kit in it, but I can neither confirm nor deny that because I don't have to implicate myself. That's my right. And also we have the Never Have I Ever Cal or Mal Makealong, which is try something new, try a new craft, try a new technique. We've seen a lot of cool stuff posted in there. Downriver Knitter just posted the most beautiful cardigan sweater with the most amazing color combination in it, and she's learned to steek. And I know some of y'all are like, I don't cut my knitting. Well, you know what? I'm a rebel. Because I don't like to knit back and forth. I'd rather knit around and around and around and around. And I'm less worried about cutting my knitting than I hate purling. So, you know, choices. We all make choices, right? Maybe you don't mind purling, so you don't have to cut your knitting, but I mind it a lot. Anyway, so, and last but not least is the Farmer's Almanac Make-Along, which I've really enjoyed writing those posts for you guys, and I know a lot of y'all have enjoyed reading them. And I'll have something similar next year. So we hit the Farm Gal aspect, so next year we're going to pay homage to the physicist aspect of who I am. I'm not going to go into everybody else's Make-Alongs. Y'all have heard about them. If you want to know more about them, you can go look stuff up. But let's talk a little bit about next year's potential Make-Alongs. First of all, I am going to do a science make-along along the lines of the Farmer's Almanac make-along. So each month there will be a post and it'll have different science things in it. So I'm going to profile a scientist, probably a woman scientist, because, you know, that's who I am. Profile a woman scientist and then give you a science lesson and maybe give you something you can try at home if you have kids. I know that I know Carlos would enjoy that. So we'll put those out there for you to look at, and each month there'll be some different themes that you can pick and choose from, maybe a color. Oh my gosh, this is totally an aside, but Mad Scientist Yarns Advent for this year, I so wish that I had known about it when it was time to order, because it's all based on the periodic table and they've been posting every day and I've just been like, I want that. Oh well, there's always next year now that I know about them. But anyway, so that'll be one. The another one, I'm going to keep Kit or Get Her Done going again next year because I can't stop buying kits. Also, Creature Feature will continue next year. It'll have different themes, which we'll talk about. I'll probably record on the 1st again like I did last year and give you all the excitement and announce the prize winners for this year's Make-Alongs. And then I'm thinking about doing one, and so I talked about it on my Vlogmas, and if you haven't been watching Vlogmas, I hope you enjoy. Those of you who are watching seem to be enjoying it. It's full of horses and animals and crafting and school and all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty well-rounded experience of who I am. But I think I'm going to do a make-along along the lines of those that are doing the ones where you work on something for 100 days. But I'm going to break the month up into 2-month blocks and call it How Do You Eat an Elephant One Bite at a Time, where you take a project that's kind of been, you know, lingering and maybe is a bigger project or something that's been lingering that you want to get done. It doesn't have to be big. And you work on it every day for 2 months. So what we'll do is at the beginning of the 2 months, everybody declare what it is you're going to work on. And then we'll post just our progress. You don't have to finish it, but there'll just be a post and you put in your progress. And then at the end, I'll draw for a pattern prize of, you know, probably between $5 and $15, you know, so that way it's a little bit more incentive. We'll see. But anyway, so, yeah, and that's pretty much all the things I'm going to talk about right now. So now we're going to move on and talk about finished objects. And I have a few since it's been a minute since I talked to y'all. Okay, so I have a few finished objects to share with you, and then I have a picture of some that I made that I've already given to the intended recipients. So the first thing that I will share is, if you've been watching Vlogmas, you saw me make all of these, but if you haven't, if that's not your bag, I'll show it anyway. Kate from the last Homely House East of the Sea is doing an Advent series, and she had several little videos where you could make things along with her, different things, and there's some recipes, and then there was some crafts. And one of the things that she had was a tutorial for these fabric folded stars. Okay, these are no-sew stars. They're just strips of fabric that are pressed and folded, and you can follow her tutorial. I'll put a link to it. It's also linked in my Vlogmas. And it's a great scrap busting project. And you can scale these up if you have a larger print. And I'll put the picture in of the ones that I made for everybody in the writing program yesterday. Everybody that wrote in the quadrille, or not the quadrille, but the drill team. The quadrille's just 4, but we had 14. I made them a star with some horse print fabric. And the scale of the print on it was so large that I felt I needed to scale them up. And unfortunately, I gave them all away. So I don't have one to show you, but I'll put a picture in of them. But this is a great scrap busting project. And then what you can do, and I haven't done it to these yet, is you can sew. I'm just using embroidery floss, and you can sew a hanger on these to make an ornament out of them. Or, you know, these would look really cute as a garland if you strung a few of them together. That would be really cute. So I've got 4 that I made, plus I gave some away. So I think I gave 3 away, and I've got 4 remaining. So yeah, so I made these. Then when you make these, you cut, when you trim the strips down, you're left with all these pieces. And I'm like, okay. And there was a lot of them. And I'm sitting there, and the way they were laying, I'm like, I have an idea. So what I did was I took my strips and I put them together on a piece of scrap yarn that I had, or you could use embroidery floss, and with some buttons, and I made a little Christmas tree. I starched these strips so they'll kind of hold their shape a little bit, but I made a little Christmas tree, and I've got tons of strip scraps, so I'm going to make some more of these, but I thought that was really cute. Then that way, if I ever do a sewing or a crafting themed Christmas tree, I'll have these ornaments to put on there. The other thing that she showed were that she was making stars out of willow and hazel branches, and I don't have any of either one of those, but the day of the wreath party we were trimming trees because I had some trees that were slapping me in the face when I was going to put a hay out for my cattle. And so while I had the chainsaw out, I went ahead and trimmed the limbs that were bothering me because we were right there beside them. And I was looking at the tips of the limbs, and they were this beautiful sort of dark red color, and I was like, So I told Mason, my former student that was helping me, and he's my friend now, I said, let's take those up to the house. I think I can do something with those. So she had also showed a tutorial to make little wreaths and little stars. Now, I haven't tried to make any stars yet because you would need longer pieces, I think, for that, because they have to be bent into a star shape. But the little wreath, you can use short pieces and you can wrap them. So I used some fabric coated wire that I had, and then some ribbon, and I made a couple of these little twig ornaments. Mr. Tooths has got one back there. Mr. Tooths and Hazel, my holiday friends here, and Mr. Tooths is the Yuletide T-Rex, and it's Hazel, the holiday humpback whale. Because I don't do Elf on a Shelf. I do much kookier things than that. Anyway, so I made a couple of those. Anyway, so I made those. That's the first finished object I have to share with you. Then I'm working on whoops, I've got my charging cable tangled up in these. I'm working on a little donation project, and I will often buy fleece because I think the pattern on it is cute, but I don't buy enough. I don't ever buy enough to make, like, what I want to do is make myself some fleece pajama pants, and I never remember to buy enough. And these were half yard cuts. They weren't going to be good for anything. But so what I've done is I have stripped them and I've knotted them, and I thought, okay, you could wrap it around your shoulders if you were cold, or you could wear it as a lap robe, because the people I'm going to donate these to, many of them are in wheelchairs, and that way this is warm enough to keep, or long enough to keep your lap warm, but not so long that it would get tangled up in the wheels on the wheelchair or in their feet. So I've got some more of these that I need to make, but so far I've made 3. Got this one, and they're just little, you know, with the fleece you just clip it and then just knot it is all I did in this one. Okay, so I've got those. Okay, as another part of my donation that I'm making, I showed you a couple of the hats that I had made last time, but I finished a couple more. I think I showed you these 3 that I had already made, and I finished a couple more. I've got one on the one that I'm working on right now. This is another one that I finished. This is a more bulky weight yarn. It's very warm. Finished that one, and then I finished this one. I think I showed y'all this one last time. And I've got another one out of this kind of creamy yarn that I'll show you in a minute that I'm about halfway through. So I want to make about 3 or 4 more of those before I take everything down there. And I've got fleece to make about 2 or 3 more of these little lap rugs. I don't know what you'd call them. I call them lap rugs. Lap robes. I don't know. Anyway, so, okay, so that is that. Let me put those, well, I'll just put them right here. Then I finished my little gingerbread man towel. I'm making a second one. This is going to be a Christmas gift for Miss Betsy. Okay, this is a pattern by A Crocheted Simplicity, and I believe it's still available for free on her blog. But it's really super cute. I went ahead and put little safety eyes on him instead of making the eyes because I thought they looked really sweet. So I worked on the second one on Saturday while I was at graduation. I've got this part right here done, and I've started on the towel portion. So it takes, the brown takes slightly more than one skein of sugar and cream, and then the red, obviously, and the white take hardly anything at all. So you really need, I bought 3 balls to make 2 towels, is how it works out. And then you'll have a little bit left over of the brown. So, and you could really make it longer if you wanted to, but I think this is a nice length. So, and the way he flips around, you know, you can hang him off of something, or you can make a towel holder and kind of group him up like that. But anyway, so I thought that was super cute, and she loves gingerbreads, men, so I'm going to make her 2 of those for her Christmas gift. Then, last but not least, I had the giveaway for the Jessica Woofall Snowfall crochet along, and I'm behind on it. The patterns are all out now, so now you can buy the whole ebook. There's 6 paid for patterns and 6 free patterns, and I've got them in this adorable little witch bag from Tesla Knits. I like the curvy witches, so I saw that bag and had to have it. Of course, Halloween all year long, right? Okay, so I've made the first 2. These are the Theo and the Momo snowflakes, and I don't remember which one's which. So let me see. Well, that's a glare. So you can. I haven't starched them yet. I'm going to wait until I get them all done. I know Penny, Rocky Mountain Penny, has made them. If she hasn't made them all, she's at least made the first 10, and there's 12 total. So I'm going to starch them and lay them out when I get them all done too. And they don't take very long. I just got on other things and didn't get them done. So maybe today, because I'm done with my chores. So yeah, because I decided that I would, before I got ready to podcast, and then I heard my cows mooing across the road, and I knew they needed hay, and it's cold and rainy here today, and so I thought, well, I'm going to go take care of my animals, or I'm going to go take care of my cows first, and put them some hay out. And then by the time I was out there, I thought, well, I'm just going to take care of everything. So all my outside chores are done. Yay! And I don't have to go anywhere else, because I was supposed to meet a friend tonight, and we rearranged it because I was going to buy some cages from her, some pins and cages from her, and it's too cruddy outside to do anything about that right now. So yeah, so we are done with chores, and so that means I can, if I want to, crochet more snowflakes tonight, and I think that's what I will do. Okay, so those are all of my finished objects, I think. Yeah, those are all my finished objects to share with you. So now I'm going to show you my works in progress. Okay, so I'm going to show you my most active current whips. I haven't worked on my dragon. I really need to get back to him. I'm kind of in the mind of, I want to work on what I want to work on, and I don't, you know, I want to get, I'm feeling the want to get back to that corner to corner marine life blanket. I want to make these snowflakes, and I think I want to get back to that dragon. So my knitting stuff may kind of fall by the wayside once I get Miss Betsy's. Well, he's not knitted, he's crocheted. Once I get the towel done, I'm actually making Marianne a basket, but don't anybody tell her. I don't think she watches this. Anyway, so the first thing in my Star Trek The Next Generation Starship Enterprise bag, the reason it's in such a huge bag is I have my pattern booklet in here. I have picked my doily back up. It's the Swirl Doily. This is a booklet by Leisure Arts, and that's the pattern. Okay, and this is, what's this called? I think it's Round Doilies is the name of the circular, or the booklet. Look. Yes, Round Doilies, 7 Designs to Crochet by Margaret Rost. So this is an old circular that I got at a flea market, or not a flea market, a garage sale. So I'm just making it out of the standard, as you would expect, white crochet, cotton crochet thread. And I have picked it up and am have added several rounds to it since the last time you guys saw it. So that's where I'm at. I will say this, don't eat a Thanksgiving cupcake with orange icing on it and then pick your doily up, because you'll get an orange splotch on it. So hopefully that will wash out. I think I'm on round, let me see where I'm at. I am on round 11, 12, 13 out of 27. So I'm not quite halfway done, but that's what it's going to look like ultimately. So I'm working on this section right here. And I like them because they go quickly. Even though they're small, they're really not as fiddly as I had expected. They actually, the cotton yarn being kind of grippy helps with that, I think. I haven't put a lot of into my socks for Kirsty, but I need to pick them back up and work on them some. So this is where I'm at on the Undercurrent Socks by Kirsty from Grianaig Creations podcast. I don't think I was this far the last time I showed them to you. I think I was somewhere down here the last time I showed them. But anyway, so this is where I'm at on those. I'm working off of a sock blank by Lamb Woman Knits. It's a rainbow sock blank. And I'm going to probably make these pretty long because I would like to use as much of this as possible. Of course, then I could always start a second pair and use the other part of it. So anyway, I think I need to put about another 2 inches on this before I'm ready to, maybe another 1.5 inches before I'm ready to turn my heel. So yeah, beautiful textured pattern. That is a pay-for pattern by Kirsty from Grianaig Creations. I believe she's Little B on Ravelry. Now she's going to do a stash down Makealong next year, and I'm going to do kind of a complimentary one to it. I'm going to do a using stash, but also using pattern stash, because I've got a ridiculous amount of patterns in my Ravelry library, and I really shouldn't have to buy any more. I need to make some things that are in there. And I was watching Kaz from the Wee So and So also, and I'm going to kind of follow what she's doing. But Kirsty's doing a stash down, and I'm going to do a stash down plus a pattern stash down. So you have to have it in your stash of patterns or in your yarn stash before January 1st. And what Kaz did on her Vlogmas is she's going through her stash and putting things together and putting the pattern in a project bag and everything together. And I've got enough project bags that I could sure do that. So anyway, this is in my Utterly Adorable Knits Moon Phases bag. She makes some adorable little, this is a perfect sock size bag. Okay, then in my space bag that Miss Nancy made for me as a gift, I was her swap person. I sent to her, but she sent me the beautiful mittens that you saw last time, and a couple of beautiful project bags and some pillowcases. Yes, I'm excited about those. This is the little gingerbread man again. This is a pattern by, let me find the front page here. It's the Gingerbread Man Kitchen Towel by A Crocheted Simplicity. She also has some other seasonal ones as well. This was a free pattern on her blog, and then, or you can purchase it if you want to through Ravelry. I purchased the snowman pattern because I feel like if someone gives me a free pattern and I like their stuff, I have no problem purchasing a pattern from them also to kind of help the cause a little bit. So this is as far as I am on that. I'm just starting the body of the towel. This is how far I got during our graduation ceremony on Saturday. So anyway, it was pretty short and sweet. Graduation was 55 minutes. They've split us up into a lot of different colleges. I think because it was becoming a fire code violation. There were so many people in the gymnasium. So it was pretty short. And you can watch my Vlogmas from Saturday if you want to see more about that. But isn't that fabric cute? It's sparkly. Ooh, space. Okay, the next thing is in my April 9 Designs Alpacas bag. I have got my Changes shawl. I have finished section B, and I haven't started section C yet. Why is there... Okay. Oh, the mail is here. Hang on just a second. I'm having technical difficulties here. I don't know why there was a fork in my project bag. Okay. Anyway, the last time you saw this, it was down by the little pudding, and I have finished that section completely. So there is my section B with my rainbow mini set from Kimmery Knit Knacks. This is all Kimmery yarns here. And it is, the gray is called Steel, and then this was just one of her neon mini sets, and I did it like the double rainbow ordering of the colors here. So I'm gonna, now I've got to pick up, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Ooh, pull out my needles. This is not good. Okay, hang on. There we go. No. Well, flitter. Okay, I dropped some stitches. Hang on. Just 3 though, fortunately. Okay. So, I have to pick up stitches to start the next section, so I need to get, I've got some stitch holders that are for like sweater arms and stuff that I got from Clover that are long cables. Instead, I don't have another set of needles this size, so I need to put the stitches off on those stitch holders. But anyway, so there's that, and that is definitely would qualify for the big shawl prize, because it's gonna, or big shawl entry, because it's gonna be big enough to qualify easily for that. I'm knitting the alternate version, and I kind of messed up on it because I didn't read the pattern. I'm like my students, and I didn't read the syllabus. I didn't switch to my smaller needles for that section, but oh well. I'm not ripping it out. Anyway, okay. Then I showed last time as future crafting in my Molly Klein Designs Rainbow Narwhals bag here. I started my next Shave 'em to Save 'em project. I made the basket, the crocheted stash basket, out of my black Welsh Mountain yarn. So now I am making the Wadsworth towel. This is a free pattern on Ravelry by Kyle William. Okay, this is a free pattern, and it is a slip stitch patterned cowl. I am making this out of, this is Leicester Long wool from the Rosefield Farm, and Shirley picked it up for me from Maryland Sheep and Wool. So this is Leicester Long wool, and this qualifies for the Shave 'em to Save 'em passport projects. And I'm about 2 inches into the Wadsworth cowl. So you can see there the color pooling on it. See it there? Okay. So yeah, so it's just a simple repetitive stitch pattern, 2-row repeat. And I'm using a stitch marker that I believe Shirley gave me last year in our stitch marker swap as my progress marker there. So, or stitch progress keeper that she gave me. So, yeah, so it's just a simple pattern. It's a lovely, soft, it's got a nice halo to it. If you look, you can see that's why it's long wool, Leicester Long wool. So, anyway, so that will be for my Shave 'em to Save 'em project. I showed the fleece flight in future crafting, and I kind of want to get started on that, but I think I want to try to finish at least half of this Changes shawl before I do that, because I'm eager to pick up those stitches and start the next section on it. So maybe I'll do that tonight too, since I have time. I have time, and dinner's already in the crock pot, so yay. Okay. Then, as I mentioned, I'm just making a, oh, there's my glasses I was looking for. Got a fork in my project bag and glasses in my yarn, so that's always good. As I mentioned, I'm just working on another simple crocheted beanie hat for my donation project here. This is just some Lion Brand homespun. I believe this colorway is called Tudor. And somebody told, I think I got this on darn near free clearance at one point, and I've got a whole basket full of this stuff, so I decided I would start using it up by making donation hats. So I'm almost done with the increase rounds. I've got one more round of increases to finish, and then this will be ready to start just going around and around to make another hat. So I've got several more skeins of this that I need to use up. So it's a rainy, cruddy day here, so a perfect day for crafting. Yes, indeed. Okay, then the last thing I will show is my plastic canvas. I finished all of the stitching on the pumpkin, so I've done all of the back stitching. Okay, there's just a minimal back stitching. It's mostly around the centers of the flowers here. And then I have started on the welcome sign. I've made the pumpkin stem, and then I've got to cut this out and I'll whip stitch it around and with dark green. And then I've started on the welcome sign that goes along the bottom. So this is what it will ultimately look like. So I'm working on this part right here. Okay, so yeah. And you glue it all together, and then I'm gonna back it with some fabric. I've got plenty of fall themed fabric. So I'm working on this part, and then once I get that done, it'll be finished. Yay. And guess where it's headed? The fair. Got to plan ahead, right? Okay, so that's all of my current works in progress. So we will come back and talk a little bit about future crafting. Okay, so for future crafting, I'm just going to show you some patterns that I've had kind of lurking around for a while of things that I want to make, and I've not gotten around to doing them yet, and I really need to. So the first thing that I'll show is Maria from Ninja Chickens, the Hoarfrost Cowl. Now, I bought yarn for this, and then I just recently got some yarn from Coop Dyeworks that I'm going to show in acquisitions. Or actually, I'll just show it now because it's right here. So let me just grab this. We'll just kind of mix acquisitions and future crafting together. Carolyn from Coop Dyeworks had a sale, a Black Friday sale. I went a little nutty on Black Friday, I'm not going to lie. Oh, I love that. She always sends lavender in her stuff. And she sent me a mini. Isn't that pretty? I don't know if you can see it was blowing out. Ooh, where's the light to show what that looks like? Anyway, you can kind of see what that is. But anyway, I bought these two skeins of yarn from her because they were on sale, and then she had offer for free shipping too. And this is poinsettia, and this is snow and ice, and they've got little neps in them. They're tweedy. And I think that the hoarfrost might look good in that. What do y'all think? I think that's the route I'm going to go. I had bought some different yarn for it, but I think I like this. And that's not so Christmassy, you know, that I couldn't wear it all winter long. I don't know. I don't know about the neps and color work. What do y'all think? So, anyway. So, that's definitely high on my list of priorities to make because I've been wanting to make it for a while. Then, I've got the free pattern of the Kindness Cowl, which came out this year, kind of in response to some things that happened in the community. And I like what it says. It says, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. The Kindness Cowl celebrates kindness in action. Give your finished shawl to a friend or community member who needs it. Donate your time or money to those, or help to those in need. And or use your time knitting to think of ways you can reach out and help lift people up. And this is DK, it looks like, DK weight. And it's two colors. It's a semi-solid and then a speckle. And I've got plenty of choices now, thanks to Miss Shirley sending me all those full skeins in my Advent swap. Bless her cotton socks. She didn't have to do that. But I'm going to sit down with my stash one day and just kind of go through and pair things up. And I definitely want to make this because it's a nice DK weight shawl, and you can never have too many of those. It's an asymmetric triangle. There's kind of a graph of it. But I believe this was a free pattern on Ravelry by Knit Circus, or it's Knit Circus Yarns, but it's by Jayla Spiro. Okay. So that's another thing that I want to make. I also had purchased some time back from Michelle Steed. She did the In the Rough mystery knit along that I did last year, the first beaded shawl that I ever made. And she had this pattern, Ballyronan. Okay, Ballyronan. And it is a nice fingering weight cowl as well. And you can kind of, there's two options. You can make it longer or shorter. And so I thought I picked it out because it would be a good project for those one skein wonders, you know, that you get. So I've got that, and I definitely have some one skein wonders that I need to work on. Along those same lines, I also purchased from CJ Brady 1,000 Kisses. Now, she has a deal where if you buy 3 patterns from her, you get one free. So buy 3, get one free. Well, you buy 2 and you get the third one free. It's called 3 for $7, I think is what it's called, because her patterns are all $3.50, a lot of them a piece. Plus, she has some ebook collections that you get the same kind of deal. You get 2 patterns and get one free. So this is 1,000 Kisses. It's a crocheted shawl, and it's a fingering weight shawl. And again, it's perfect for a one skein wonder because the amount that it takes is 420-ish yards or so. This was her Valentine's Day pattern, but I thought it was really sweet. So I'm going to make that too. I love a good quick crocheted shawl. So, all right, then speaking of crochet, as I said, I'm going to work on my snowflakes. So these are the next patterns that I printed out from the Snowfall Cal. And one thing that I like about this is she gives you blocking instructions in there on how to block them, and she even gives you the little targets, or they're not really targets, but the little grids to block them out so they're nice and symmetric. Because she's going to a lot of trouble to make these things symmetric and be realistic to what snowflakes should look like. So she's talks about that in the directions for the Snowfall Cal. So she shows how to block all of these things, which I think is really great. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get those knocked out, and even gives instructions on how to stiffen them and all that stuff. So yes, so I'm going to try to work on those. I think that's what I'm going to work on today. And then last but not least, these are the patterns that I have left on my Marine Life blanket. Now, and I won't say I got mad at the pattern, but I got a little frustrated because I was kind of using up scraps. I was stash busting on it. And so I was making my blocks, and then when I got the final instructions, it said you needed to crochet around your blocks. Single crochet, and that's to get them all the same size, and I get that, but some of them I didn't have any more of the background yarn because I'd used it all. So I kind of got upset with it, and I think that's why I quit it. But I need to finish it. I want to finish it, and I want to get it done so I can put it in the fair next year, because I think it's a pretty amazing project. And I, you know, have kind of come to grips with having to work on the blocks some more. I just wish that we had known. Of course, you can't make them all the same size until they're all done, so I shouldn't be annoyed about that. But anyway, so these are the patterns that I have left. This is a corner to corner. It's a free corner to corner pattern from Yarn Geek Makes. It used to be Two Hearts Crochet, and she's rebranded as Yarn Geek Makes. And I just bought a corner to corner, pay for corner to corner pattern from her today. I've had it in my shopping cart for a while, and I finally decided to go ahead and buy it. So I have the coral. I have a coral left, and I have the mermaid. I think if I make all these, that'll end me with 20 blocks, so I can make it 4 by 5. The oyster with the pearl. The shell. And then I printed out both of the seaweeds, but I don't think I need them both, because what I decided to do is draft my own narwhal. Because I gotta have a narwhal, right? The unicorn of the sea. Jessica from Two Sticks and String says, the unicorn of the sea. So, anyway, so I've got those to finish also. For a while, I couldn't find the hook I was using, and I finally located it because, you know, my craft room is controlled chaos. Well, let's face it, it's not even controlled chaos. It's just chaos full stop. So that's kind of what I'm wanting to work on for future crafting. So let's move on now and talk about acquisitions. And I kind of, like I said, went a little Black Friday crazy. So, you know, if that thing's not your gig, you might want to just speed on ahead to science, or I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, so, well, to be fair, some of these are gifts. Oh. Okay, well, to be fair, some of these acquisitions are gifts that people have sent me, so maybe my conspicuous consumption is not quite so bad. First of all, I want to share something very, very special that Miss Shirley sent me in my swap package. Miss Shirley is quite a talented artist, and she works in several different media, but she sent me something that meant the world to me, and it is a drawing of me and my mother. This is from the last photograph probably that we had taken together. This was from baby shower that we went to, and this was probably the last photograph that she and I had made together before she got bad. So yeah, this was a tremendous thing to open and find in that gift, so I'm very grateful to Shirley for this and for her friendship. So it is in a place of honor in my house, trust me. Okay, then also too, I just wanted to share this little quick, I don't know what this, I think this is plastic of some kind, but Tommy, Marianne's daughter, made everybody that's a Rainbow Rider member a pin. Marianne had her make us all little pins. So this was my horse pin from yesterday that I got. If you watch Vlogmas, you saw all the doings yesterday at the Christmas show. So you already saw my yarn from Coop Dyeworks, so I won't share that with you again. But where to start here? Vanessa and her family came to visit. A Historian Knits. She and Amelia and John came to visit. He had a marathon in Tulsa, and then they went to Northwest Arkansas and visited some of his friends, and then since they were so close, they decided to come down and see me, and I was very glad, and we had a great time. We went to my local yarn shop, we went to eat Vietnamese food, we went and saw my horses over at Marianne's, and Marianne came down and met them, and Amelia got to mess with the horses a little bit, and then we came out here. The weather that day was crazy. All the bad stuff missed us, but there was like tornado warnings and all this stuff, and then we ended up eating dinner together that night. We went somewhere after they came out here and met all the animals, and she got to see all the animals and pet the rabbits and everything and see the mini horses, and had a great time. I was just so excited to finally meet them in person. I feel like we've been friends, we're friends anyway across the miles, but it's great to finally get to see them. And she brought me several things, but the two that I will share with you, she gave me this adorable bag from Peapod Threads, and she said, look, the deer, they're all wearing socks. Is that not adorable? Isn't that a cute bag? And I love the little handle on it. That's great. So it's a cute little bag, and it's got a really cute little flower lining in it and stuff. It's got a boxed bottom on it. It's a cute little bag. Then she also gave me a beautiful skein of Hue Loco. Love those colors. That is gorgeous. So, yeah, I think that is just really, and that might make a pretty Thousand Kisses shawl now that I'm looking at it. So I may set that aside. Actually, hey, look, I'm going to take my yarn and the pattern wherever I just stuck it. I think that right there is a project. So, ta-da! Look how well that worked out. Look how well that worked out. So I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to put that in the bag, and ta-da! Yay! Okay, I guess I need to put a hook in there though too. So let's see what size hook it takes. Oh, hook a G. Let's see if I've got any G in here, if I'm using them all. 4, 5. I think I'm using the one out of this set. Nope, I don't. I'm not. Ha-ha! Ta-da! Now all I have to do is wind yarn. And I'm set. All right. Look, perfect. One down. 7,000 to go. Okay. The next thing that I got, my friend Rory, she's Amber's daughter, Marianne's granddaughter, and she and I have become quite good friends over time through horses. And she's very crafty. She enjoys doing all different kinds of crafts. She's a girl after my own heart. And so they came for the wreath making party, and if you saw the video, you saw her. She's very fun loving and very crafty. And they came in the house, and I have this big piece of quilling that I got at the thrift store. It's a beautiful tree. It's like a tree of life, and it's very complex. And she was just fascinated with it. She's like, "Ooh, I want to learn how to do that." So I ordered her a quilling kit, and I got myself one too, because you know, I need another craft. I've been texting with her mother and Marianne both, Amber and Marianne both, this morning about something, and I made the joke that I was going to leave Rory all my craft supplies in my will, and I said, you just better plan on renting a U-Haul if you need to come out here and get them. So anyway, this was just a beginner's quilling kit, and it's got some paper and the tools and all the templates and everything in it. So I thought maybe we could learn to do that together. Then let's see, another gift that I got, Maria in Colorado and I did a swap last year, and we decided we would do another one this year. And I was dreadful and didn't get her package in the mail till Saturday. Y'all saw me mailing it on Saturday, but it is in the mail, and it's all local stuff. But she did such a beautiful job of getting this gift for me. So she got me this little witchy bag, and it's got little witch symbols all over it. She made this gorgeous cowl, and this is Fiber Nymph Dyeworks yarn. I know she loves them, and it smells wonderful, and it's got little baubles on it. And then she sent me this gorgeous skein of yarn from Andromeda Sock Yarn. This is called Witching Hour. There's a theme here. Isn't that great? That's a perfect Halloween colorway. So that's going to be some Halloween socks, I think. Is what that's going to be. And then she sent me some wonderful goodies, and I'll share some of them with you. She sent me this great card and wrote a very sweet note. She sent me some delicious candy, which is long gone. But she conspired with Noelle from Charmed and Dangerous, because they are quite good friends. And I am the proud owner of 2 custom stitch marker or progress keepers that were made just for me. There's a little bubbling cauldron and a little witchy hat. No one else has those. Those are mine, all mine. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So anyway, so that's what I'll share with you guys out of this box. There's some delicious chocolate in here too that probably needs to go into the hidey hole, or I'll eat it all. Anyway, and some tea and some different things. So I hope that you get as much enjoyment out of your package that I sent you as the one that you have sent me, because I surely love it. So Maria, I hope if you're watching this, I hope you do. Now, speaking of Charmed and Dangerous, I went crazy trying to get one of her foxes. As I mentioned, riding a horse, trying to get a fox. Well, she finally had a pre-order, and I was on it. I made sure that on that Saturday, and she actually posted it an hour earlier than she normally does, and I was not on a horse. I was about to be on a horse, but I was not on a horse. And so, ta-da! I got my fox. Yay! She did a pre-order for these on her site, and they are just too cute. And then she also did a pre-order for the little holiday hedgehogs. She does little themed hedgehogs, and this was her holiday one, her Christmas one. Those are just so cute. I just love them. I also did her Christmas box this year, and I showed it on my Vlogmas, so I won't show it again. But she made a set of 4 charms that were holiday themed, and then she sent some other little goodies in the box as well. So she had that as well. I got that as well from her. And boy, I was sitting on go when those were posted, because I'm like, I'm getting one of those. Okay. I also have a kit that I bought. This is a basket kit. It's not for me. This is a gift for Marianne, so I don't think she watches this, but if she does, you don't need to look. I'm making her the footed storage basket. Okay, this is from Joanna's collection. I've never made one of their patterns before, but Sasha speaks highly of them, so I think that'll be fine. I've got to get that made sometime before. Her birthday is actually Christmas Eve, so we do a birthday / Christmas thing with her family. Then, you don't need to see knitting needles because you all know what those look like. I decided to do the Frosted Pumpkin Stitcheries this year. Their stitch along that they have for 2020 is the Animal Almanac. And like I said, I don't normally open emails from places. You know, sometimes I'll scan the subject line or something, and every now and then. Well, I opened this one and found out they were doing Animal Almanac, and the preview picture had a fox on it, and I'm a sucker. So I don't have the pattern to show, or the beginning. They don't have any of the patterns out yet. You get a little piece each month. But I went ahead and ordered the kit to do, because I just thought, well, that'll just be easier. I'll have everything in one place. And it wasn't prohibitively expensive. So you get all the thread, you get the special threads, and you get the fabric. And I chose the one on Aida cloth. I didn't want to do linen. I've stitched on linen before, but I don't enjoy it. So I thought I'd be more likely to keep up if I used the regular cloth. And then they send you a packet of needles as well. So I'm all set to go when that pattern drops on January 1st. And to go along with that, Charlotte from April 9 Designs has started making cross-stitch project bags. And this was one of hers. And I love this size because if you're working from a book, your book would fit in this as well. So your frame and your book would fit inside this. So, and I just love that fabric with all the creatures on it. So, yeah. And then I also got this little Notions bag from her, too. The little Llama's Notion bag. This was on clearance, and the price was too good to pass up. So, okay. And let's see. Miss Betsy and I went to the Preston Rose Brewery, like farm and craft fair that they have every Christmas or every holiday season. It's kind of the kickoff to the holiday season. They have Preston Rose Brewery has a beer garden, and then there is Subiaco Abbey is over there, and the monks actually brew beer as well, and they have bees, and they raise beef cattle, and they have a really good farm over there, so they had some things. They also had a lady there who raises alpacas, and she was selling yarn made from her alpaca wool. This is DK weight yarn, and it is 30% merino, 70% alpaca. So that's going to have to be something that does not need to be worried about stretching. But I think that it's very soft. I love those colors together. And, oh, that reminds me. I got some yarn from Maria that I don't have over here. I bought 3 skeins dyed from Maria of Ninja Chickens. It's BFL. I think it's BFL. And she dyed it with madder root. And I was going to see about maybe putting those 5 together to make a big DK weight, very warm shawl out of. What did I do with that yarn? I need to find that. It's over there in the chaos pile somewhere, but I'll dig that up. Then when Vanessa came, we went to my local yarn shop, Knit Two Together, because she wanted to get some local yarn. And we have a local yarn company to this part of the country, or this part of the state. It's from the Ozark Mountains. I believe she's up in, she in Yellville or Berryville. I forget where she is. But it's Ramsey Yarn Company. Ramsey Yarn Company, and this is some of her actually bulky weight yarn, and I'm going to make one of Maria's patterns. I'm on a big Maria kick for Ninja Chickens. She has a pattern called the Polka Dance Cowl, and I think those two will look really pretty together. So this would be the main color, and then this would be the contrast, and there's just a little bit of that blue in there. I think there's enough that it will work just fine, but that, man, look at that blue. How can you fault that? That is the most beautiful blue I've ever seen. Wouldn't a sweater in that color just be freaking awesome? Yeah. Anyway, Ramsey Yarn Company of, I forget where they're at. I want to say they're in Yellville. That's not right, though. Berryville. They're up north central Arkansas somewhere. I forget. Maybe Eureka Springs. I don't know. But she dyes pretty yarn. Yeah. Okay. I I'm going to have to find that Maria yarn. Y'all hang on. Okay, so I found it. She was having a D-stash, and this is Matter Dyed Sport DK 100% BFL that is non-superwash. Is that not gorgeous? Oh my gosh, it feels so good. So I was thinking these with that. Does that work okay? Yeah, that works, doesn't it? That works. I think that would work, don't y'all? Boy, what a big old warm shawl that would make. So, yeah, so I'm going to put those all together for right now and do some thinking on that before I pull the trigger on what I'm going to do with that. Oh, that's so pretty. Anyway, okay, so, yeah, last but not least, now you're going, good Lord, woman, how much crap did you buy? And the answer is more than I should have, probably. I decided to take advantage of the sale for Knit Picks to buy enough yarn to make myself a couple of sweaters. I've had the flax pattern for Tin Can Knits by quite a while, and I knitted this flax light, if you'll recall, for Sasha's little boy. But Carrie Ann was kind enough to send me a pattern for the Habitation hoodie. When we did the pattern swap, and I'm very thankful for everybody that traded patterns with me. That was very sweet of you. I surely appreciate it. And all the people who are pattern designers that offered free ones, thank you very much. And also to Mad Scientist Yarn, who had a get your yarn wishes granted, and they let you select a friend if you wanted to. So I contacted them, and they actually sent to a friend of mine instead, because let's face it, I don't need any more yarn. But also too, I thought this person deserved something extra special for the holidays. So, anyway, so I got the yarn to make the flax and to make the Habitation hoodie. And I'm not going to drag it all out here, but I'll just show you the colors that I got. So, for the flax, I selected this color. This is Wool of the Andes, and it is a colorway called Mineral Heather. It's kind of a bluish gray heathered yarn. And I thought that would be great for the flax. Then for the Habitation hoodie, and you know, I mean, I realize we all like the fancier yarns, but sometimes it's nice to have something made out of something that you can wash, especially living on a farm. So I decided to make the Habitation hoodie, which is bulky weight, out of Knit Picks Bravo. And this colorway is called Solstice Heather. Isn't that a beautiful blue? We got a blue theme going on today, I guess. So, thank you, Carrie Ann, for the pattern. I am going to try to make that very soon. So, I got enough yarn and a very good price because they had, if you spent over $50, you got free shipping. So, I was very proud to I got enough, 2 sweater quantities of yarn for not very much at all by the time you took the discount and everything. So, I'm very pleased. Okay, that's it. That's all my acquisitions. That's a ridiculous amount of stuff, I realize. It's not always that bad if you're a first-time viewer. I'm usually not so conspicuously consumptive because I own a farm. Anyway, so we're going to move on now and talk about science. Yay! Okay, so let's see what's been going on as far as the physicist part of my lifestyle goes. We are done with the semester. If you've been watching Vlogmas, you saw the graduation video. Before the end of the semester, we had our senior lab or senior capstone presentations. I had a student who was working with me on a project looking at extrasolar planets and how to use the Drake equation to determine how many other intelligent life civilizations there might be out there. And Frank Drake had come up with this idea of doing an estimate based on what kind of stars could have life around, or what kind of stars could form planets, and how many of those planets persisted long enough for life to evolve, and then intelligent life, and then could they communicate via radio transmission, because that's really how we would communicate through space, is via radio waves, which are long wavelength electromagnetic or light waves, or they're a form of light wave. So she did a really good job on it. I was really proud. She has a hard time talking in front of people, so she was really stressed out and nervous about it, but she did a great job. And she graduated on Saturday. She is the first person in her family to graduate from college, and she is going to an internship at Disney. She is going to help design the animation, you know, the rides and all the displays and stuff that have motion, and mechanical engineering is how all that works. So she is going to get to do an internship to do that. Is that not the coolest thing ever? I mean, what was your first job out of college? Oh, I worked for Disney designing rides and displays. Wow, that's pretty cool. I have another student who is currently applying for NASA internships, and she had a talk with one of the project managers that sounded very promising. We have the Arkansas Space Grant Consortium. Our representative, one of the other professors at UCA, has contacts with a girl who's from a local, fairly small town, and she works for NASA on the James Webb Space Telescope project, and she is at the same center that my student had applied for. So she just went around and put in a good word for her, and she's already heard from one of the project managers. So that was very exciting for both of my students, both young women going off to be scientists, and I'm so excited about that. We finished up with the semester. Like I said, we had our last planetarium shows for the semester this past week. I have been working on, I am actually applied to be a reviewer for the National Science Foundation's graduate fellowship applications. Partly and mostly because I wanted to see what they looked like, so that next year if I had students that wanted to apply, then I could be more helpful to them in the application process, kind of doing a little bit of background work so I would know what to expect for them. So I actually got on the site this morning and logged in, and I have about 20 applications that I need to start reviewing, so I'll probably work on that tomorrow. Today is a me day. I am just fried and tired, so today is a me day, but tomorrow I'll start looking at those applications. Plus I'm teaching out of a new textbook in the spring, and I want to start looking at stuff for that as well. I'm kind of freshening up my lectures. I'm teaching astrophysics in the spring, and I got a new book that is a lot more toothy than the old book, and so I'm excited to dig into it and beef up things. Let's see. Other things that have been going on at work. We finished up with our book group, as I mentioned last time, the Big Magic book group, and we're getting ready. We're going to read Thrive by Ariana Huffington in the spring, so I'm looking forward to being part of that book group. And then we had our potluck, which you saw, which was really good, and then graduation. So pretty much we've wound down for the semester at work as far as that goes. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about there was actually had a question from someone about why does the winter solstice date move? So some years it's on the 21st, some years it's on the 20th, some years it's on the 22nd. Well, that happens because the winter solstice is an astronomical event that Mother Nature has decided when it occurs based upon the sun's position in the sky, and then, you know, humanity comes along and tries to manufacture this timekeeping device called a calendar. If you remember many podcasts ago, I talked about the Gregorian calendar versus the Julian calendar. And, you know, when you have calendars that have, you know, months that have different numbers of days, and, you know, and you define a day and an hour and all these things this way, you know, things move. So the way the winter solstice for the northern hemisphere is defined, the earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees on its axis. And so as we move around the sun, sometimes our hemisphere is tilted more toward the sun, sometimes it's tilted more away from the sun. And currently we are in the process of being tilted away from the sun. I'm going to put a picture here that kind of shows all of this. The winter solstice is defined as when the sun reaches the Tropic of Capricorn in the sky. It's when the sun appears to be over the projection of the Tropic of Capricorn in the sky. When it gets to that point, that moment is the winter solstice. But because everything is moving, the earth is moving around the sun and the earth is rotating on its axis, that moment is over at that moment. You know, it's a moment and then you move on. But that's why it moves, because when the sun appears to move according to background stars, that sidereal motion, that doesn't care about your calendar. It's like, I'm doing my thing and I don't care about your calendar. So that is that precise moment is what we define as the winter solstice. Now, when that happens compared to universal time, which is Greenwich Mean Time, is how we define the first day of winter. So sometimes that point's on the 20th, sometimes it's on the 21st, and it creeps, but then we have leap day, and that kind of brings everything back, a day, and we start forward again. So that's how the winter solstice is defined. So I put a couple of pictures up just to show you that, and then the summer solstice, same thing. So what that means is that's our day of shortest daylight hours of time. And if you're above the Arctic Circle, you haven't seen the sun in quite a while. Your 24 hours of darkness, and the 24 hours of darkness goes on for more than just this one day. You talk about the land of the midnight sun in the summer. Well, in the winter, it's the land of no sun. If you're above the Arctic Circle. So I will post a couple of little pictures and then some links if you want to know more about that. The other thing that I wanted to share was there was a really neat article, and it's an older article. It came out this summer, but I thought it was really neat. There's a couple of different articles about the new sign language signs for different scientific terms. And a couple of different people suggested this. There was an article, the first article that I saw was about a biology grad student who was suggesting some signs for British Sign Language alphabets, and then American Sign Language also has had about 1,000 terms added to it, because who wants to spell out deoxyribonucleic acid? I'm not even saying that right. Let's say something that let me say something that I know what it is instead of trying to be a biologist. Who wants to spell out nucleocosmochronology in letters when you could come up with a symbol for it? Right? And that's the whole point, because it would be very hard for scientists to communicate if they're having to spell out all these technical terms. So they've suggested these new signs to cover these scientific terms, which I thought the article was really interesting and really good. So I'm going to share both of the links for those two articles that I saw for you. So that's pretty much all I've got for science this time. So enjoy the solstice, because I won't see you before then, and now you know why it moves. So yeah, we're going to move on now and talk about farm life. Okay, so on the farm, if you've not been watching Vlogmas, it's mostly been just kind of keeping everybody going, putting out hay, putting out feed, making sure everybody's got a warm place and a dry place. We've been doing a lot of horse stuff the last few days because we just had our big Christmas program over at the barn, and then that ends our riding season. And I was really proud. I had 165 hours this year. I should have had more than that, but there were some days that I couldn't make it over there because I had other commitments that I needed to take care of. But you gotta do the paying job too. So but anyway, so had 165 hours, which was almost double what I had last year. So that was what I was really striving for, was to increase my number of hours. Had a great time at the Christmas program. The horses were all really good. We had a couple of little bobbles in the program, but doing the drill team is very mentally taxing for those horses, because first of all, and the main thing, and Shirley already pointed this out because she watched the video, horses have a hierarchy in their herds, and we have multiple herds over there. So we have Marianne's horses are in what we call the Foxtrotter herd, then we have the DB herd, which is largely my horses, then we have the Seagraves horses, which are separate, but they get along with my herd, and then we have the Bella, I call them Bella's bunch, because it's the horses we went and got at Christmas time last year, and then another horse named Thunder that we got also. And there's a hierarchy in those herds, and if you have a horse that's not very high in the hierarchy, they tend to be very intimidated. So like Bo, even though he's a huge horse, he's probably the biggest horse out there, he was between two horses a lot of times that weren't part of his herd, so he was a little intimidated. And the other thing is some of the horses just get bored with it. They just are like, I don't want to do this again, because we had done a couple of run-throughs, and they're like, why are we doing this again? And there's a lot of stopping and starting because you're trying to get everybody going at a constant pace. And so it is a little bit challenging for the horses. I was frankly kind of worried about Flame, because it got a little cold yesterday after it had been a little bit warm. It was cold, and the horses were acting, bucking and running and everything. And I was a little worried about her because she was kind of feeling full of herself during practice. Then when we got to the actual routine for the show, she was great. She's a game day player, man. She knows when the chips are all on the table, and she's like, I am going to do my very best. And she was great during the performance. I was so proud of her. Then when we did our individual routine, it was really kind of funny because she's never seen a camera that she doesn't like. That horse knows what a camera is. So in the video, she's coming around, we're coming around by the stands, and there's all these people with their cameras up, and she's looking at them. She's like, she's trying to crane her head around. I'm like, no, you need to look this way. And I'm like, no, I'm looking at the camera. That horse has never seen a camera that she doesn't like. She is such a ham. It's so funny. But she did great. I was so proud, and we have come so far. There was a video Marianne shared. It wasn't a video, it was a picture, and I didn't realize she'd been over there 5 years, of when I took her over there and had Mr. Bill, Uncle Bill, restart her. And then I rode her for the first time 5 years ago yesterday, and then I rode her in the show. And that day that I got on her 5 years ago, because of our history, we've had kind of a spotty, rough history at times. I was just scared and nervous, and yesterday I wasn't nervous at all. It was great. Anyway, excuse me, the kids did really well. We had a great time. I was really tired because it had just been, if you've watched my Vlogmas, it had just been, I had been going wide open for about 5 days straight, and I finally just hit the wall last night, and I said, okay, I've done my chores, I'm going home, I will see y'all. And I came home, and I went to bed pretty shortly after I got home, I'm not going to lie. But everything else is kind of going pretty good out here. I've got to get some projects done while I'm off over the break. I've got several things I'd like to get done. So we'll see how that goes. You can, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you can always follow my Vlogmas videos. But yeah, it's been a typical Arkansas winter. It's been wet, it's been rainy. Today it's very dreary, but then you'll have these beautiful bright blue days. It can still be cold, but it'll be clear and bright, and it's just a joy to work outside on days like that. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much, I'm gonna just leave it there for farm life. If you're interested in more of that kind of stuff, like I said, you can watch Vlogmas, because Vlogmas tends to show a lot more of that aspect of my life than anything else, is the farming, because that's a day-to-day, that's an everyday thing. But anyway, so I'm gonna leave it there, and we'll come back and finish up with a few final thoughts. Okay, so I wanted to share a couple of final thoughts with us, as always, with you guys. I will probably not record again before Solstice and Christmas. So first of all, whatever holiday you choose to celebrate or not during this time, I hope that you are well, and I hope that you are surrounded by those you love and care about, and experience some measure of peace and joy now and always. I wish that for you all the time. I am very grateful for all of you who watch my podcast and share your thoughts and feelings with me. Like Kirsty said, I like doing this, and I think I started doing this because it's like visiting with friends. And I know a lot of us live alone, and maybe we don't have any family, so this is a good way for us to visit with other crafty people, and it's a good thing. I know that right now there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty in the world, and a lot of people are you know, sometimes I get really tired of like social media, especially Facebook, because there's a lot of people who just constantly bombarding us with doom and gloom and, oh, get ready, it's gonna all fall apart. And it may do it, but you know what? Worrying about it is not going to help the process along. And it'll just make you more tired when it finally does fall apart. So in the meantime, I'm going to choose to try to find something joyful to celebrate. And so to that end, I found a reading called A Winter Solstice Prayer by Edward Hayes, and I think it's appropriate to this time of year. So that's where I want to share what I want to share with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share with you this poem. It's called A Winter Solstice Prayer by Edward Hayes, and I think it pretty well sums up my thoughts and my feelings on how to handle the times we're currently going through. The dark shadow of space leans over us. We are mindful that the darkness of greed, exploitation, and hatred also lengthens its shadow over our small planet Earth. As our ancestors feared death and evil and all the dark powers of winter, we fear that the darkness of war, discrimination, and selfishness may doom us and our planet to an eternal winter. May we find hope in the lights we have kindled on this sacred night. Hope in one another and in all who form the web work of peace and justice that spans the world. In the heart of every person on this earth burns the spark of luminous goodness. In no heart is there total darkness. May we who have celebrated this winter solstice by our lives and service, by our prayers and love, call forth from one another the light and the love that is hidden in every heart. Amen. May we call that forth. Sometimes those sparks are hidden pretty deep, I realize, but we can always hope that something will kindle them into a burning flame, right? So, as we head toward the darkest night of the year for us in the Northern Hemisphere, I wish you peace and love. I hope you're all doing well. I hope that you find more abundance than you ever knew was possible in the coming year. And until I see y'all again, you gonna wake up and tell him Willie's been cold. He has on his coat. Y'all be good to each other. Yeah. And take care of each other. Aw. And what, Willie? You're sleepy. Peace out, y'all. Bye. I love you.